The case of Isabella Nardoni is one of the most shocking and tragic criminal cases in Brazilian history, stirring intense media coverage and public outrage. Isabella, a 5-year-old girl, was found dead on March 29, 2008, after allegedly being thrown from the sixth-floor window of her father's apartment in São Paulo. Here are some key details about the case. The crime. Isabella's father, Alexandre Nardoni, and her stepmother, Carolina Jatobá, were charged with her murder. The couple claimed that an intruder had broken into the apartment and was responsible for Isabella's death, but investigators quickly dismissed this theory due to the lack of evidence of a break-in. Forensic experts concluded that Isabella had been assaulted and then thrown from the window, with marks on her body suggesting she had been strangled before being dropped. Investigation and trial. The forensic evidence pointed toward both Alexander and Carolina being involved. The apartment showed no signs of forced entry, and bloodstains found in the car and apartment aligned with Isabella's injuries. The case went to trial in 2010, attracting widespread attention across Brazil. Both Alexander and Carolina were found guilty of homicide and were sentenced to 31 and 26 years in prison, respectively. Public reaction. The trial captured national attention, with the Brazilian public closely following every development. The crime became a symbol of domestic violence and child abuse. The case highlighted flaws in the judicial system, as many feared that, due to their socio-economic status, the Nardoni family might avoid conviction. However, justice was served, with a conviction that was widely supported by the Brazilian population. Aftermath. In the years following the conviction, both Alexander and Carolina have maintained their innocence, filing multiple appeals, all of which have been denied. The case continues to be referenced in Brazilian culture and media as a haunting reminder of the dangers of domestic violence and the importance of protecting children.
On the verge of shattering, and the fateful day of March 29, 2008 would forever be etched in their memories. It was the final Saturday of March, only the second day of Isabella's weekend with her father. The day appeared to be quite ordinary, with routine activities unfolding as usual. However, at around 10:20 p.m. that night, the Edifício London apartment in North São Paulo, where Isabella's father, Alexandre Nardoni, and her stepmother, Carolina Jatobá, resided, turned into a scene of sheer horror.
Nós começamos a escutar uma pessoa no térreo do edifício. Ela falava assim, jogaram a Isabela, socorro, jogaram a Isabela.
E falou, tem um cara no meu apartamento, ele jogou a criança. O que ele disse? Que tinha uma pessoa no apartamento dele que essa pessoa havia jogado a criança pela janela. E ele falou uma frase, que o cara estava de blusa preta. O porteiro estava de blusa preta.
While all eyes were on the doorman, the initial and vital action was to make the call for help. Before any family members or the police arrived, the residents of the buildings assembled around Isabella. What added to the heartache was witnessing Isabella still in excruciating pain after the fall from the 6th floor. Soon, the police arrived in large numbers. Isabella's mother, Carolina, could only pray and hope for her daughter's safety. Isabella's breaths grew fainter and fainter as she was transported in the ambulance. Carolina desperately clung to her belief, holding on to hope. In a short span, they reached the hospital. However, everyone's hopes were about to be shattered. It was the final time for Carolina to bid farewell to her beloved daughter.
Quando eu realmente vi que ela não tinha sobrevivido, a única coisa que eu consegui falar no ouvido dela foi: você pode ir, vai em paz. Que eu vou cuidar de tudo que aconteceu aqui. Essas foram as minhas últimas palavras para ela.
According to the doctor's initial response, Isabella passed away due to a cardiac arrest. While Isabella's mother, grandmother, and her grandfather were at the hospital, Isabella's father, Alexandre Nardoni, and her stepmother, Jatobá, were answering to the police. The police persistently inquired if they had any enemies who might have committed the act out of ill will or revenge.
Eles começaram a falar tanto do porteiro que eu já começo a levantar, pesquisar toda a vida dele, para saber os antecedentes dele, quem ele é, justamente pelas suspeitas que o casal levantava em relação a ele.
The doorman, wearing a black shirt on the night of the incident, the sole individual who aligned with the allegations made by the couple. Was he really the perpetrator? If not, what was he doing during the incident?
Imediatamente eu interfonei com senhor que era do conselho, um dos primeiros moradores lá. Comuniquei que tinha caído uma menina. No momento tinha pensado que tinha caído uma varanda qualquer, que eu não imaginava nada. E chamei para ele chamar a ambulância e a polícia.
The doorman's statement seemed quite normal, precisely the type of response one would expect in such a situation. However, it was too early to entirely dispel the suspicion. The police needed clues, a lot more clues. So it was time to take a good look at the apartment. At this point, many details were being kept confidential, and the investigation hadn't yet fully commenced. While the possibility of it being an accident still existed, Alexandre's assertions of a break-in didn't align smoothly with the crime scene.
E a casa, ela estava meio assim bagunçada, mas era bagunça normal dos moradores, entendeu? Não tinha nada quebrado, nada revirado, como assim, gavetazinha, assim, no local de homicídio, que a gente encontra aquela bagunça de roubo, homicídio, tá? Estava assim, desordem do pessoal da casa.
Clearly, there were potential loopholes, and with no one else present except for Alexandre and Jatobá in the apartment, finding another suspect out of nowhere was proving challenging. Moreover, accusing a father of murdering his own daughter was both painful and inappropriate without concrete evidence.
Foram os primeiros indicativos que eu tive de não ter ocorrido crime patrimonial e sim homicídio, por haver sangue no local, por não ter presença de característica de crime patrimonial, não tinha nada revirado e também não tinha indícios de ter tido uma luta corporal ali, de alguém oferecendo resistência ou de uma briga entre o casal.
Another noteworthy detail was the peculiar nature of the window from which Isabella fell or was thrown. The wired net blocking the window had been deliberately cut, eliminating the possibility of the incident being accidental. As the case remained a mystery to everyone, Isabella's family shattered into pieces. The loss of their daughter left them with an insurmountable pain, and no amount of justice seemed sufficient. However, not knowing what happened to their innocent little girl was a curse in itself. Furthermore, a case of this magnitude was not about to go unnoticed. Every time Isabella's birth mother, Carolina, stepped out of the house, she found herself surrounded by reporters. She didn't even have a moment to grieve for the loss.
Eu não podia sair da minha casa, porque os canais de televisão, de rádio, de jornal estavam todos na porta da minha casa, era plantão. Dia e noite, noite e dia.
Desculpa, eu entendo a posição de vocês, mas eu prefiro ficar no meu cantinho.
It was time for the police to uncover answers for the family, the community, and the nation at large. And in this scenario, the forensic department knew they had to play the most intricate role. Not only that, but gradually they discovered more clues indicating that something was profoundly amiss with the case at hand. Armed with this information, the police visited the coroner to validate the theory that Isabella had sustained injuries. And they got an answer that would change the trajectory of the case.
De fato, ela tinha uma lesão na região frontal, aqui na testa, uma lesão por algum tipo de objeto contundente que fez um ferimento na região da testa. A face estava azulada, as unhas estavam azuladas, ela tinha umas marcas no pescoço de alguém apertando. As características eram muito claras de asfixia.
Isabella had suffered significant injuries prior to the fall. At a moment like this, it distinctly steered the perspective of the case in a different direction. The initial cause of death, listed as cardiac arrest, seemed to no longer be the actual reason now, and they were determined to get to the bottom of it. And the only way to do this was by evaluating this in an autopsy. From this point onward, it became quite apparent who would be the primary focus of suspicions. Alexandre seemed to be in a state of distress, that much was clear. But were his words accurate? Or was there a deeper layer to the story? The police turned their attention to Jatobá to hear her perspective on the matter.
Ela percebeu que A versão trazida pelo casal estava bastante estranha, porque eles relatavam uma sequência dos fatos que não correspondia com o que as testemunhas estavam relatando para ela. Ele estava mais preocupado em trazer alguém para a cena do crime para responsabilizá-lo pela morte da filha, do que propriamente aclarar as coisas.
This highlighted suspicion. The lingering big question had always been, did they kill Isabella? Now, with the unusual reaction to the entire investigation, the police understood they had to delve deeper into their lives, rather than solely concentrating on an intruder who may or may not have been the culprit. The couple's reactions were peculiar. They stood in stark contrast to the Oliveira family, who appeared solely concerned about Isabella and not about themselves. Alexandre and Jatobá seemed to have premeditated plans for their own safety.
O casal, já num primeiro momento, ele foi para a delegacia com grupo de advogados constituído. Este grupo de advogados, ele já tinha uma procuração para defender o casal, algo que já chamou atenção naquele primeiro momento.
The case of Isabella Nardoni turned into a magnet for media attention and public outcry. The press, in its customary manner, transformed the event into a national frenzy. The unfolding tragedy captivated television programs, newspapers, and the public. On the streets, a growing number of people demanded justice for the young girl, directing their collective anger squarely at her parents. The public was furious, craving answers. At that moment, it seemed like they already knew the answer, yet there was still no proof that the couple was responsible for this atrocious incident. It was a very sensitive matter to accuse the family for such a case, but the investigation was yielding results, and the couple soon found themselves in handcuffs. The police found themselves navigating a kind of controversy they had never encountered before. The Isabella case had evolved into a personal matter for the general public, and every step of the journey became fraught with risks and fragility. Just after the arrest, the media made yet another huge move. This created havoc not only in the city, but throughout the country. There was now no conceivable way for this case to remain unsolved. It had become a story on every individual's lips, a narrative to evoke frustration, sadness, and a tale woven with lies that begged to be exposed. And the only available footage of the family before the tragic incident was broadcast nationwide for the first time. It appeared as a means to kindle the flames in people's hearts, inspiring them to rally for justice for Isabella.
Olha, exclusivo. As nossas imagens mostram agora os últimos momentos de Isabella com vida no interior do supermercado. Você vai acompanhar tudo o que aconteceu dentro da loja. São imagens inéditas, exclusivas, hein?
The public had reached a point of frenzy, with banners and screens displaying a singular message. Amidst the commotion, a piece of information surfaced, a kind of revelation that once again altered the course of the case.
Eu conversei com os pedreiros dessa obra e eu perguntei, vocês viram alguma coisa estranha? Ele falou, não, mas tem uma pessoa que dorme aqui.
Now, was this the man who could potentially crack the case of Isabella Nardoni? So there was someone present on the night of the incident. However, certain police politics disrupted the ongoing investigation with the individual who had information about the break-in that night. And all of a sudden, his response had changed. Why would this happen? The situation took a turn for the worse after 2 weeks. According to the judge, mere suspicion was not sufficient grounds to keep people behind bars. However, there was even more disturbing information that came out soon after. On April 18, 2018, Alexandre and Jatobá were summoned to the station to provide statements. The date fell as a coincidence. However, the police were not without plans. However, the couple were interrogated for 20 hours, but neither of them confessed. Along with that, Jatobá's father and Alexandre's father had full faith that they'd soon be away from this controversy. Antonio Nardoni, Alexandre's father, was a defense attorney specializing in tax law. As he was a powerful figure, speculations began to circulate about whether they could potentially leverage their influence to navigate their way out of this national tragedy. With his father on stage, Alexandre felt powerful too. Delving into Alexandre's past, the police uncovered numerous details that indirectly connected to the case. His history with Ana Oliveira and her family was also not as positive as it had appeared on the surface. However, Antonio Nardoni, as a father, would not even once stop defending his spoiled son. Soon enough, it became evident that Antonio sought publicity and would go to any lengths to change people's minds regardless of the means. However, the interview wasn't helpful to them. In hindsight, it certainly backfired. During that time, there was speculation that even if Alexandre was the perpetrator, Jatobá might not truly be involved. However, this all changed after the interview.
Eles não conhecem como nós somos, entendeu?
Eles sabem a nosso respeito através da mídia, que tudo que falam a nosso respeito, a maioria das coisas são tudo inventados mesmo, porque ninguém conhece a nossa família a fundo, entendeu? Ninguém conhece como nós somos mesmo.
Com a entrevista do Fantástico, muita gente concluiu precipitadamente que a Jatobá era a dominante desse casal. Mas um exame mais profundo não resiste. Essa tese não resiste. Ela é a abusada do casal. Ela fala mais, ela é mais nervosa, ela é mais ansiosa, ela não manda.
It's not a confirmed fact, but the evidence suggests that Jatobá was indeed experiencing depression. However, being depressed does not necessarily imply innocence. And although it was challenging to accurately describe the mentality of Alexandre or Jatobá, the crime scene did contribute to providing a clearer understanding of them and the tragic incident. The forensic analysis clearly indicated that Isabella had been carried inside and had sustained injuries even before entering the apartment. Upon examining Isabella's room, the hypothesis led to an entirely different theory.
Porque a cama está rodeada de brinquedos, arrumados, a cama está totalmente arrumada, e não bastasse tudo isso, existe um desenho em papel sulfite da própria Isabella que está sobre a cama. Então, é impossível o pai dizer que colocou essa menina nesta cama. Então, essa é uma coisa que me incomodou demais. Por que este pai mente?
And once again, Alexandre and Jatobá found themselves at the center of this entire crime.
Que ocorreu na manhã de domingo do dia 27 de abril de 2008. O Instituto de Criminalística iria documentar milimetricamente a versão que os réus entendiam que os favorecia. Só que eles se recusaram a participar. Eles disseram que não iriam fazer prova contra si.
And so, the reconstruction of the crime commenced, but this time utilizing dummies.
Há quase 3 horas, uma equipe de 10 profissionais está dentro do prédio onde aconteceu o crime na noite do dia 29 de março.
Alongside this, the media had the opportunity to cover one of the nation's biggest controversies of all time. And so, the work began. And hence, the evaluation of the timeline of that fateful day became the crucial thing to focus on.
E aí nós temos a degravação da conversa do síndico com a atendente do Copom.
Tem ladrão no prédio, jogaram uma criança dela de cima, pelo amor de Deus.
Na degravação do Copom, nós conseguimos identificar exatamente o momento em que o réu chega lá, ao lado do corpo. Isso ocorreu às 23 horas e 50 minutos e mais alguns segundos. Ou seja, 1 minuto depois de Isabella ter sido defenestrada e cair, o réu aparece lá ao seu lado.
Nessa conversa, tudo isso, a Ana está lá em cima ligando.
This implies Alexandre was in the garden, but where was Jatobá?
Porque no mesmo instante em que ela liga para o pai e para o sogro, o senhor Lúcio ele está no telefone falando com a polícia. E ela está lá em cima, no telefone. Então, quer dizer, se tivesse uma terceira pessoa, estava junto com eles, neste momento.
Porque eles disseram que voltaram, a menina ficou dormindo, eles voltaram do carro, da garagem, com o bebê de colo, entraram no apartamento e aí é que eles deram conta da ausência de Isabella. Aquilo que o réu disse que aconteceu faria com que ele chegasse depois da meia-noite lá no térreo do edifício.
Então, a reprodução foi essencial para estabelecer essa linha do tempo. Não tem como.
Alexandre Nardoni e Ana Carolina Jatobá algemados.
Once more, Alexandre and Jatobá were placed in handcuffs.
A prisão preventiva do casal foi decretada nesta quarta-feira e, neste momento, 22 horas e 33 minutos, o casal será encaminhado para o 9º Distrito Policial. Aí está, Alexandre Nardoni sendo
Ele está aqui nesse carro, na parte traseira. Olha aqui, Alexandre, vai saindo desse carro, vou levando a Ana Carolina Jatobá, que sai naquele carro do GOI.
Onde nós fomos chamados a comparecer no prédio.
Amidst a tumultuous crowd, the couple managed to make their way to the station. What was intriguing was that the arresting officers knew how to pacify the public. Police cars typically have a black cover on their back window, yet when the couple was being transported, they removed the cover. It appeared as if they wanted the world to witness them through the back window of the car. But the police didn't stop there. They aimed to provide a sense of relief to the public, the backbone of a nation. The public had finally begun to experience a sense of satisfaction, and their yearning could only be quenched through the pursuit of justice.
Para assistir execuções públicas, que aquilo levava prazer a quem assistia, porque tinha uma sensação de justiçamento, independente de quem estava sendo acusado, de quais eram as provas que levaram àquela execução, você tem uma relação de interesse muito grande das pessoas pelo que acontece na justiça criminal.
Porque é crime praticado por classe média.
While the couple being placed in police custody brought a sense of relief to the public, the media went a step further. Here's what they did. At the time, the couple was still considered innocent until proven guilty, and they were fighting the battle of their lives. However, attorney Francesco Ciambrelleni was gradually emerging as a hero on a nationwide scale. And honestly speaking, Ciambrelleni was ready to face the trials anytime.
Em 2008, 3 meses depois do fato, e eu dizia isso a todo jornalista que me perguntava, o que falta para a promotoria levá-los a júri popular? E eu dizia, nada, basta o juiz pronunciá-los, que nós iremos para o júri com a prova que já foi produzida que é suficiente para incriminá-los.
After an exhaustive 2-year investigation, the murder case of Isabella Nardoni finally reached the court trial in March 2010, garnering immense national attention. A jury of 7 members was selected to weigh the evidence and deliver a verdict. The scene resembled a FIFA World Cup final, with the streets brimming with people. However, the case was not over yet. The defendants had a card up their sleeves.
No caso dos crimes dolosos contra a vida, que é o caso de homicídio como esse, você precisa de alguém especial, alguém que tenha essa especialidade. E o Roberto Podival é homem experiente, é advogado dos mais brilhantes do país, e eu acho que eles se sentiram seguros em relação a isso.
The background of the 2 attorneys, Ciambrelleni and Podival, was worth noting.
Roberto Podival, de 44 anos, e Francisco Sembranelli, 49 anos, se formaram na mesma universidade, em São Paulo, e estão no auge da carreira. Podival atuou em casos polêmicos, ganhou 13 dos 15 júris antes do caso Isabella.
Podival was prepared. And by prepared, it meant he understood he was in for a tough battle and was ready to win it nonetheless.
Eu não vou aceitar uma causa porque eu estou preocupado que essa causa é perdida.
Eles estão sendo julgados injustamente, diga-se de passagem. Mas o fato é, eles têm o direito de se defender.
Antes de entrar no fórum, o advogado Roberto Podival foi vaiado pelo público, que aguardava para assistir ao julgamento.
O próprio Podival foi agredido fisicamente na porta do fórum.
One was a hero and the other a villain. The trial began with both the crowd and the nation harboring the collective belief that justice would ultimately prevail. It was undeniably a tough fight for Podival, as in the court of public opinion, the couple had already been deemed guilty. During the trial, key testimonies unfolded. Isabella's mother, Anna, first took the stand and revealed that Jatobá had been extremely jealous of her. She recounted an incident when Alexandre had threatened to harm her and her mother when confronted about late alimony payments. Anna also disclosed that Jatobá had called her on the night of Isabella's death, blaming the tragedy on Isabella. Anna was deeply emotional regarding all she would not be able to share with her daughter. However, Anna's role in the court posed a challenge for the defendants, leading to a decision being made.
Depois do seu depoimento, o juiz é obrigado a perguntar se as partes concordam com a dispensa da testemunha. Porque ela pode ficar lá recolhida e ela não pode ser dispensada se alguém se opuser a isso. No momento que o juiz perguntou, o senhor concorda com a dispensa? Eu concordei. A defesa discordou.
A cariação é feita para contrariar pontos.
Que a mãe não assistisse o júri, foi só por isso que... E eu fui muito maltratado na época por conta disso.
Mas que eu tivesse me preparado para passar por aquela situação de julgamento, de enfrentar realidades, de enfrentar os problemas de novo, eu não estava preparada para viver um isolamento.
O juiz Maurício Fossen confirmou a permanência da mãe de Isabella.
This step made the case even more outrageous, especially for Ana Oliveira's mother.
Eles continuam matando a minha neta todo dia e querem matar a minha filha agora. Ela precisa do apoio da família dela. É o mínimo que ela precisa nesse momento. É o apoio da família dela, que está aqui com ela. E eles negaram esse direito. Eles não dão o direito dela poder sofrer, dela poder gritar.
On the other hand, Alexandre was visibly emotional during his testimony, expressing the profound loss of his daughter. He also accused Ana Carolina's mother of not wanting her to have the child. He denied seeing a third person in the apartment on the day of Isabella's death, disputing claims of a break-in. A shocking moment emerged when defense attorney Francisco Ciampraleni started cross-questioning Alexandre. The prosecution asked why he didn't help his daughter. Alexandre replied that he was checking to see if she was alive, but couldn't explain why he didn't assist her when she was indeed alive. Ciampraleni insisted on an answer, and Alexandre explained that he was in shock and couldn't say more. This baffled the prosecutor and jurors, wondering how a father could fail to act after witnessing his daughter's fall. Alexandre also struggled to explain why he hadn't spoken to his partner, Ana Oliveira, after their daughter's death. The prosecutor asked why he didn't talk to her, to which Alexandre simply stated that it was an embarrassing situation. The case was swiftly slipping out of the defendant's control.
Mas eu acho que a defesa não foi muito boa. Até porque é uma defesa dificílima, né?
But Alexandre and Jatobá had to continue fighting to demonstrate that it wasn't over yet.
Videozinho em 3D em que ela criou uma dinâmica do crime para descrever o que aconteceu na noite do crime.
The animated video in the end did nothing. There were numerous flaws in the video, and the prosecution pointed them out meticulously.
Que é aquele reagente que possibilita que nós possamos enxergar uma mancha de sangue que já foi limpa.
The bloodstain proved inconclusive. The report stated that it could not be directly matched to Isabella. Moreover, the possibility even extended to the baby's blood, as the prosecution presented evidence indicating that the diaper cloth discovered in Alexandre's apartment also contained traces of blood. But Podval was not about to back down.
Precisa me dizer o que cada uma dessas pessoas fez. Quem jogou, quem matou, quem agrediu, quem fez o quê? Da onde se comprova quem fez o quê? Não tem essa prova.
With this question, many hypotheses still remained undisclosed, and as of today, it still can't be definitively stated.
Por que a senhora sustentou no vídeo que a madrasta asfixiou, estrangulou a vítima, se o próprio médico diz que não é possível afirmar isso?
Por uma simples constatação. O Alexandre Nardoni, ele rói as unhas até o talo. Em compensação, a Ana possuía unhas de comprimento normal, não precisa ser unhas longas não para produzir isso.
Not only these, but throughout the trial, many other hypotheses emerged to the surface. However, regardless of the hypotheses, one thing was factual and remained so.
Você não tira esse casal do local do crime na hora da queda. Por mais que você mexa e remexa, você não consegue colocar eles em outro lugar que não ali.
After a 5-day-long trial, in the early hours of March 27, 2010, the verdict was delivered. But not in a usual way, but in a way that the whole crowd waiting for the answer would be satisfied.
O descaramento de pôr caixa de som na rua para ler uma sentença, no mínimo agressiva, hostil contra aquelas pessoas que ele está julgando. Ele é o juiz.
However, the judge had an answer to this controversy.
Então, cada poderia dar uma versão diferente do que o juiz falou na sentença. Todos esses fatos foram levados em consideração.
The verdict was slowly approaching, and the wait was about to come to an end. The verdict was ultimately revealed. The judge explicitly stated that Jatobá had hit the girl on the head with a blunt object and strangled her. Subsequently, it was determined that Alexandre had thrown her out of the window, leading to the girl's death shortly after being discovered on the ground. They were guilty.
Quando o Dr. Maurício Fossen anuncia que eles foram condenados, meu Deus, eu não sei como é que eu não quebrei a mão do meu marido.
condeno-os às seguintes penas. Alexandre Nardoni.
And following the verdict, the sentence was announced. Upon the arrest and sentencing of Alexandre Jatobá, people gathered outside the Santana Forum in the north of São Paulo. Their reactions were intense, with some celebrating the verdict by shouting and even setting off fireworks.
Eu vi o resultado pela televisão. A decisão foi na televisão e assim, parecia final de Copa do Mundo.
Não, puta, não é momento de comemorar nem nada. Só queria que a justiça fosse feita e foi feita.
What are your thoughts on this case? Do you believe this was the ideal resolution to this national tragedy? Did the couple do what the court decided? We're eager to hear from you. If there's a particular case you'd like us to explore, please share your recommendations in the comment section below. Also, remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel for more gripping true crime tales. Until next time, stay safe.